Andersen.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, Andersen, and welcome to the next update on the CLK. And for those of you that have been following, you know in the last episode we got it driving. It's starting to rip, to be honest, but we're getting some codes for the heater sensors on the O2s, on the primary O2s. And to be honest, whoever wired them in, it seemed like it worked for a while, but for whatever reason, this 12 volt extra wire that was going to the ECU lost power, and I'm pretty sure that wire is also supplying our 12 volt for the O2s. So what I'm gonna do right now, get the car jacked up. I'm gonna pull the female plugs off of the bottom O2s and get them up here, get a voltmeter on them, and just see if they're reading what they're reading, and we should be able to diagnose if they are getting 12 volt. You can't read all 4 of the plugs because you have to do some weird stuff to do it, but 2 of them we should be able to read, at least maybe 3 of them, and it should help us diagnose what we are getting at the moment, and then we can go from there and see what we can do, see what we can change around, where to tap in from, whatever we got to do. So let's jump into it. Let me get this thing jacked up and we'll move on from there. Alright guys, got the car jacked up, just unplugged them from the bottom. So I'm going to try to pull these up now and hopefully they will come free. I marked the left one with a little bit of red paint. Just to try to get, I might need 2 hands, so I'll check with you guys in a second. But yeah, mark the left one just so I know which one's which, but let me check back, hopefully they'll sneak up. Alright guys, so out of all the wiring that I did on this car when I got it, which it wasn't like rewiring things, it was mostly just shortening things up and reconnecting or limiting the amount of butt connectors that I did find. But out of all the things I touched, I didn't touch the O2 sensor wiring, and it's honestly not too great. I mean, it's not terrible, but like for instance, it's just wrapped in this like regular electric tape, and just, yeah, just overall it could have been done a lot nicer. So I am going to try to do that. Like I said, the red and green wire that lost power, that was the extra 12 volt, is this wire right here. Now, I don't know how they wired this car or what could possibly be providing 12 volt via this wire, because it's coming from the motor, like it's coming from the engine harness. So I don't really know how that's working, to be honest, or how that worked even for an extended period of time. But it was at one point providing 12 volt back to the ECU. Now it is no longer doing that, and I have a feeling because the O2 sensor issue started right after all that happened, these wires were also tapped in to whatever that source was, and possibly are linked to the same exact wire. So they basically split off. There's 2 of them, both the same right here, and they split off into each O2 sensor. So what I'm going to do right now is put ignition power to the car and just see what we get for readings on these plugs, if anything, and then I'm going to go ahead and untape one at a time and try to redo what I can and make a decision on what I want to tap into to supply a new 12 volt source, assuming that there's not any right now. And literally guys, if you watch my channel long enough, you've heard me talk about it. Electrical and wiring is kind of my kryptonite, but at the beginning of this year, I kind of said that I want to get over that kryptonite, and I feel like the universe is just, since that point, since I put it out in the universe, I want to get better at wiring, and I want to get better at diagnostics with the cars. The universe has been answering that call, so I'm going to do my best to learn as we're going through here. And special note, throwing it in here for anyone watching, got a comment last video, or I think last video, saying, hey, respectfully, you need some star diagnostic tools at this point, a laptop setup, and thankfully it's on the way. Finally got a good setup with Josh's help, and it's being sent out right now to go get hooked up, and my C3 kit is on the way over. So yeah, hopefully soon we'll be able to have like actual proper star DOS setup. But yeah, for now we're going to be using what we have. So I'm going to bust out our Harbor Freight voltmeter and see what we get for readings on these. Alright guys, I'll try to show you this. Key is on, so the chili killer is churning up a storm, but let me see real quick which one is our red and green, that bottom left. So I'll try to show you guys. It's gonna be hard with one hand. Stay there, ground. Alright, so as you can see, it looks like we're only getting about 3.5, maybe 4 volts at most, and that's for each of our 12 volts right now, which that does not seem accurate to me. I feel like Josh told me I should be seeing 12 volts at those, so I'm assuming, you know, our prediction was right. Our 12 volt wire just lost its supply, whatever it was coming from, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So next choice I gotta make is, what am I doing to resupply that 12 volt source? There's a bunch of different choices you could go with. Add a circuit off of one of the fuses. I could jump from one of the other 12 volt supplies on the ECU. But I think the cleanest way to do it is probably from the SAM. And I know Josh said that there was a place in the SAM that would be a good place to check for to see if it was tapped or not, because that's what the stock location should be. So maybe I will try to do that. I'll try to look around and see what I can get and go from there, I guess. Whew. Alright guys, it's been like 5 seconds for you guys, but man, I've been busy running around trying to get back to this thing. So to explain, a couple mornings ago now, I came out here early before work and I started going through all of the fuses, and I actually replaced every single one. And in doing so, I found this one right here, the green one, was actually popped. It was a green 30 amp fuse and it is popped. And then actually, after the fact, I found out that that is not supposed to be a 30 amp, it's supposed to be a 15 amp. So what I'm gonna do right now is get the 15 amp in it. I'm gonna get the ECU all plugged back in, put the battery back on, and then I'm gonna hook up our voltmeter again to see if the voltage has changed on the O2s after that fuse is replaced. Because from talking with Josh and trying to figure out in my head of, I know that before the ECU got sent out, before it lost 12 volt, O2s never threw a code. I never had any codes or anything related to O2s. And then for both of them to die right after that 12 volt power lost power, and then, you know, we did the ECU fix, so the ECU still working, all that stuff, it just didn't make sense. So we started saying, okay, let's check the fuses, let's check relays if possible, but that fuse specifically is labeled as engine electronics, which is most likely, you know, a bunch of different like accessories to the engine, like, you know, could be EGR, could be SAI, whatever it is. But I'm pretty sure with what happened, that fuse popped, made the 12 volt lose power that was going to the ECU, and at the same time probably made the 12 volts lose power that were going to the O2s. So I'm gonna hook it up. I need to disconnect this wire, because if it does reintroduce 12 volt to this wire, I don't want additional 12 volt going to the ECU now that we bypassed it in the ECU. So I'm gonna snip this wire, cover up both ends just in case if I need to tap it for something else later or whatever. I'll leave it here, but I'm just gonna cut it off and close it up, and then we'll test out our O2 sensors. Alright guys, I got everything plugged back in, sealed up that one side of the red wire, and tucked the other one back in after I sealed it up over here. So it's all heat shrinked off now, it's not going to cause any problems. So I'm going to go ahead and put the battery back on, and then we'll get our voltmeter out and test out these O2 sensors, see if we get any different reading, and then we'll go to fire the car up, plug those in, but I'll show you guys what the voltmeter reads. Alright you guys, and wouldn't you know, I just read them, it's getting up to like 11-12 volts, which was like 3-4 before. Man, I feel extra proud of myself, you guys. I'm so much of a novice when it comes to all of this, electrical systems, everything, but I feel like I'm learning, and I feel very proud that I figured this out. Like, I actually made a difference, figured out the fuse, and now we got a different volt reading on the O2 sensor. So theoretically, that should be the change. I don't know if I'll be able to get this for you guys. It's a top plug. one is it? No, it's this one. Alright, this is going to be hard to do with one hand. Alright, hopefully you guys can see that. Get my ground in here. And I'll go ahead and read my red and green wire. There you go. So see how it's jumping now? That's what it should be doing. And it's getting up to like 10-12 volts, whereas before it was just stagnant. So there we go, 11 volts. Before it was just stagnant on 3 or 4 volts. So that's a change. It's worth plugging them back in and going from there. Alright guys, we are all bundled up once again. Try to get it even tidier this time. Keeping this harness a little back so we got some wiggle room on that. Gonna leave this open, put my intakes back on, and then drop this thing down and try to fire it up. I did test the other day as well, and which is nice. We're actually holding fuel pressure now, it looks like. But the other day I clicked it on, and it jumps right up to 50. So with the slow starting thing, it's not a matter of if there's fuel at the rail. Like the fuel is getting to the rail, it's getting up to pressure just fine. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Maybe this situation has something to do with those slow starts. So we'll see. All right, guys, we're buttoned back up all the way. We're on the ground. ECU, all that stuff's buttoned up. Should be good. Let's go ahead and turn our key. See how she does on startup. Alright, here we go. Let's go for it. Well, still the no first start issues. Yeah, almost wants to go. That's weird. Normally it would have started by the third time. Let's try it again. Come on now, what the heck is going on? Let's try this again. Okay, what have I missed anything? Okay, one more time and then I gotta start checking things. Wow, there we go. Alright. And I have not cleared a check engine light, but I did have the battery off, so obviously that's gonna go away. I'm guessing it's going to come back for the evap sensor, obviously, but hopefully when it does come back and we check it, it doesn't have anything for the O2 sensors. Alright, a little bit shaky idling down, but not too bad. Alright, well, it's going to take a couple test fires, couple rounds to get it sorted, but I'm going to back it out of the garage and go from there. Alright guys, so I decided it would be a good idea to just look at this before I take it off. And looks like we got the right thing now. It should be jumping from basically low to high, so that's what it's doing. Between like 1 volt and 900 volts, back and forth. So looks like they're doing the correct thing now. So far, I just checked the codes. It's not throwing anything yet. Like I said, I'm guessing the evap code is going to come back, but nothing as far as monitors go now. So I'm going to shut it off, start it back up, and see how that does first off. And still no check engine light, so might take another start. Let's try that again. Okay, still nothing, so it's going to take some driving most likely to see if that will come back. I'm going to go test around the neighborhood. It's dark anyway, so it's not going to be anything eventful, but and it's also wet out, so it's just going to be normal driving. I'm not going to take you guys along, but I'll show you if anything special happens. Alright guys, a little bit of testing and fun. Got the check engine light to come back, so I'm going to go ahead, turn it off, and check the code. Alright guys, well this is frustrating, but codes came back. Heating of component, left O2 sensor after TWC this time. After TWC. So now it's now it's mad at the secondaries. What the heck, man? Let's check and the regular OBD2. Whoops. And guys, if you saw the short that I put out for our 3K happiness, we got a star setup, star DOS setup. It's on the way, so I can do some actual diagnostics later on, but for now we're using what we got, the MB scanner, which has been great to be honest. But look at that. This one's saying, so these are stored, pending. Yeah, gosh, man. What the heck? No, it's a secondaries? I do not understand this. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that has to do with the tune, to be honest. Maybe that's, if it's running too rich. I don't know. But now I got to take a look at the secondaries. Jesus Christ. Alright, you guys. Good morning. It is officially CLK's first time taking me to work today. So, gonna bring you guys along, finish out this video. And first off, I'm very curious how it's gonna start. I haven't really done this exact scenario, but we just drove it last night. So, we'll see if it'll fire right up. Not quite. Almost. Second start. Got our ultra gauge. So yeah, bit of a rainy day, so nothing too crazy, but it's at least gonna be our travel transport today. I'll talk about what kind of issues we're thinking we're seeing in relation to the secondary O2s once this thing gets warmed up and we get on our way. Alright guys, we're heading out. It's pretty cold right now outside, so I got the heater on. So I'll check back with you guys once we've made it a little way. I'm a little thawed out because right now I'm pretty cold, so check back with you in a second. Alright guys, so I know the view is going to be a little hard to see, but last night after talking about it, I'm pretty sure the O2 sensors that popped up are because of the absence of primary cats. That's the secondary O2's job, is to check kind of the heating function. I already saw the person who crossed, so that's why I'm not stopping. But anyways, so because I got no cats, pretty typical, you're gonna throw a heater sensor code on those, and maybe they just weren't popping up because my primaries weren't functioning before, and after they did, then it allowed the O2s to kind of kick in and look for why are they not seeing what they're seeing, so, or seeing what they're supposed to see. So I talked with Josh. He said it will run a little richer in that scenario, but it should be okay to drive, and we'll end up turning off the secondary O2s anyways once I get my star DOS set up, and I should be here relatively quick. So yeah, so I felt okay to drive it to work today and just kind of feel it out, build some confidence in it, and get to enjoy the car a little more. So that's what we're doing. So it's 6:30 in the morning, on my way to work, and wish it was a dry day, but the reality is I live in Seattle, and we're gonna have many of these days over the next 5-6 months, so gotta get used to it. I also would love to use my seat warmer right now, but I'm pretty sure the previous owner said that sometimes it gets stuck on, so I'll just bear with it right now. Also, my blinker stock, control stock, whatever it is, drive stock, the spring is broken, I think, is what is the problem. The return spring thing. So I have to manually unselect turning left or right now. It's been like that since I've got it, but just FYI, if you guys ever see me turn and the stock stays going on one direction, that's why I gotta manually click it off. I'm curious, I'll have to ask my wife later how loud the car was from inside, me starting it outside. Curious what that sounded like in the morning. Definitely plan to put a cat or at least a resonator on this car once get it all sorted. And if you're curious, we're in agility mode right now for the transmission. We still got a lot to do in order for the transmission to learn what's going on. I will say, last night, again, sorry, but after I cut off the camera, I previously wasn't able to like just stab the throttle and go, so I just started testing that and lit the tires up first and second pretty easy. So yeah, that was me, you know, holding it in first gear and just jabbing the throttle, lights the tires up. Same thing in second gear, jabbing the throttle, lights the tires up. This car is very comfortable though. The CLK, the seats and everything, like, it's a very, very comfortable car. Steering position, steering wheel itself, like, even with it being on the Bilstein PSS 9s, it still feels very, very comfortable. So it's a nice car to drive. I definitely need to sort out something in the front end still though. I can hear it kind of like do some strange pops or creaks. I don't really know what it is, to be honest, but I don't know. I thought maybe it could be the sway bar, like if the sway bar is not, the sway bar links are not aligned properly with where the suspension is set. So I guess it's possible, but I'm not really sure yet. Alright, you guys, we made it. And no check engine light yet. So by the time you guys see this video, I'll be getting ready to head out of work. But so I guess I'll keep you guys posted in the comment section if it comes back on the way home. But yeah, nothing so far. CLK officially got us to work. That is definitely a milestone. We have come a long way, guys. It's the longest I've ever driven away from my house. Pretty cool to be here.